Don't get lost in your pain. Know that one day your pain will become your cure. These words weren't written by a psychiatrist, a self-help guru, or a meditation coach. They were spoken over 700 years ago by a man who never read Freud, never heard of depression or anxiety. And yet, he understood the human soul with a clarity that still stuns the modern mind. What if the answer to today's mental health crisis lies not ahead of us, but behind us? What if an exiled scholar from 13th century Persia could help us feel whole again? This is the story of Jalaluddin Rumi, the poet who turned heartbreak into healing and silence into song. Let's step back into time. 13th century Persia. The land is in chaos. The Mongol invasions have ravaged cities, displacing millions. People wander in search of safety, identity, faith. And in this crumbling world stands a boy named Jalaluddin Muhammad Balkhi. Born in 1207 in what is now Afghanistan, Rumi grew up as the son of a revered scholar. He was taught theology, law, Arabic, philosophy. He was a genius before he was even a poet. His family fled the Mongol threat and finally settled in Konya, in present-day Turkey. There, Rumi became a respected jurist, teacher, and preacher. But inside, something was missing. His heart yearned not just for knowledge, but for union, for the divine, for love that shattered ego. Then one day, in a bustling square, he met Shams of Tabriz, a wandering mystic, a fire in human form, and everything changed. Their connection was instant, soul deep. People talked, scholars were outraged, but Rumi didn't care. In Shams, he found what he didn't know he was seeking: a mirror to his soul, a key to the locked chambers of his heart. But love, as it often does, came at a price. One day Shams vanished. Some say he was murdered by Rumi's own students, jealous of their bond. Others say he left to test Rumi's devotion. Either way, he never returned. Rumi broke. He wept in the streets. He isolated himself. He wandered, searching for Shams in every shadow, in every silence. But in that grief, something incredible happened. He began to whirl, and from his whirling came verse. Lines flowed from his soul like water through a broken dam. Pain became poetry, loss became longing, longing became transcendence. Rumi's poems weren't meant to be read. They were meant to be felt. Over 70,000 lines of poetry poured from him, the Masnavi, the Divana Shams, Ghazals, and Rubaiyat that still echo in hearts across the globe. But beyond the beauty of the words is a philosophy that touches something deeper. Suffering is sacred. Pain is not to be numbed, but to be welcomed. Healing is not becoming perfect, it is becoming real. Pattern interrupt. Myth-busting moment. You see, Rumi wasn't just a spiritual romantic, he was also radically realistic. In an age that pathologizes emotion, Rumi gave us permission to feel everything. Where modern society tells us to be strong, Rumi whispers, "Try to be like a tree. Let the dead leaves drop." And perhaps most powerfully, he reminds us that we are not broken. We are just disconnected from our hearts, from our essence, from each other. You were born with wings. Why prefer to crawl through life? Let's pause. Ask yourself, what if you aren't broken? What if you're just covered in dust, waiting to remember your light? So how can we apply Rumi's wisdom to mental health today? Radical acceptance. Rumi teaches us that every emotion has a place. Joy, rage, jealousy, despair, these are not mistakes. They are messengers. Welcome them all, he writes in The Guest House. Modern psychology now calls this emotional integration. Rumi simply called it love. Healing through longing. In Rumi's work, longing is not suffering, it is spiritual fuel. He teaches that longing is proof of belonging, that our ache for connection, for meaning, for peace, is the soul reaching toward its source, wholeness over perfection. In a world obsessed with self-improvement, Rumi reminds us, don't get lost in your pain. Know that one day your pain will become your cure. Healing doesn't mean erasing scars. It means loving them. Rumi never set out to heal the world. He simply sought to heal himself, but in doing so, he created a legacy that touches us centuries later. In your darkest moments, Rumi would not hand you a solution. He'd sit beside you. He'd tell you your soul was never broken, only asleep. He'd whisper, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." So if you're hurting, if you're searching, if your heart feels heavy and the world feels loud, maybe it's time to get quiet, to listen, not outward but inward, to the voice that says, "Don't you know yet? It is your light that lights the world." If this journey touched your soul, share it with someone who needs to hear Rumi's voice today. Subscribe to Lost Pages of Eternity, where echoes of the past guide the wisdom of the present. Let's not just read poetry, let's live it.